friends! Welcome back to the Moss and Mirth channel. In case you're new here, my name's Stephanie and this is where I share my passion for nature, creativity, and self-love. Today I'm bringing you a kind of a macrame tutorial, but I would consider it more of just a general fiber art. But we're going to be making this fall themed tassel wall hanging right here behind me, but I'll insert some clips for you. I think this turned out absolutely beautiful. I love the fall colors with the copper pipe. It's just so cozy and perfect for autumn. All in all, this project took about 6 hours to complete, but it is definitely beginner friendly. It's just a little time consuming. This is more of a freeform style of fiber art, so you could definitely modify colors, lengths, even textures. You can really use this as a jumping off point for a lot of cool ideas. I'll have some additional information as far as materials and links and resources linked down below in the description box, so be sure to check that out. And I'll also have some information over on the website, mossandmirth.com, if you want to go reference that post. Well, without further ado, let's dive into this project. Go ahead and grab yourself something to drink, get settled in, and let's get started. For this project, you'll need a piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe, maybe some dowel rod, driftwood, or even a stick you found on a walk. The overall length of that will determine the width of your finished piece, so just keep that in mind. In my case, I am using a 20-inch length piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe. You will also need about 300 to 400 feet of cotton rope. I am using about 350 feet in total. And again, the amount of rope you use dictates the overall length of your finished piece. You will also need about 9 packs of embroidery thread in whatever colors you choose. I decided to go with a fall color palette, and surprisingly enough, I had all of this thread already in my stash. So use whatever you have on hand or go out and pick up specific colors if you want. You'll also need some sharp scissors and a method of securing your stick or pipe while you work on it. I'm using some magnets and some scrap pieces of rope to do that job for me. And finally, you may want something to measure with and maybe even a comb or a pet brush to brush out the tassels at the end. Get started by securing your pipe or dowel rod or whatever you're using to the surface you're working on, or maybe even to a clothing rack so that you can easily work and not have to be holding on to it and it's flinging everywhere. To start, I will be creating the center tassel using 6 pieces of rope at about 3 foot in length each. 6 pieces is the minimum tassel size that I made throughout this project. Simply loop all the pieces over the copper pipe, or whatever you're using, and then match the ends up. Then measure out a piece of embroidery thread in the color of your choice, and get ready to create a gathering knot. In my experience, a 4-foot piece of thread results in about an inch-long wrap of color, so add or remove length as you need to achieve the look that you want. To complete a gathering knot, start by taking your thread and making a loop that you hold tightly against the rope tassel. Now start wrapping the thread round and round until you reach the end. And then thread the loose end through the exposed loop at the bottom of the gathering knot. Now pull the other end of the thread at the top, making your lower thread disappear within the wrap. and then trim down the exposed thread at the top. Now that you have the hang of it, we'll repeat that along every tassel going forward, alternating and varying the colors and lengths as you go. The second tassel I am making is composed of 12 pieces of rope, which is the maximum that I used for a tassel throughout this project. The idea with this is that it's a more freestyle form of work, making every creation unique. There's no rhyme or reason to the colors you pair together or the lengths that you choose for your tassels. It's all completely random. Of course, you can follow your own creative path and simplify or methodize this concept as you want. As you work, keep in mind that you can easily slide your embroidery thread up and down to keep it nice and gap-free as you go. Now continue to make your tassels until your pipe or other material feels nice and full of tassels. One tip that I picked up was to use my index finger of my non-dominant hand, so my left hand, to keep the thread pressed against the back of the tassel out of my frame of vision and guiding it as I wrapped the thread around. This helped me keep the thin thread evenly wrapped around the tassels and trying to keep those gaps at a minimum. Now that we're almost done, I will add the final 2 tassels, one on each side. To thin out and balance out the piece, I did a short skinny tassel on each side with only 6 strands of rope each. I included only 1 block of color with the embroidery thread on these exterior tassels. Before we move on to the next step, you can flip the piece around and clean up any gaps in your embroidery thread where your rope is exposed. You can do this with your nails, or if you have a plastic crochet needle like I do, that's a very helpful tool for this. I'll link some below that I purchased on Amazon, and I use them all the time for my various macrame pieces. Anyways, you can use your nail to just kind of pull and move and keep the embroidery thread together. Now I will also go ahead and add a rope to hang the wall piece. I'm going to do this by measuring 2.5 times the length of my copper pipe and then thread one end through the pipe, tie the ends together, and then hide the knot inside the pipe. Or if you're using a different material, you can just tie the ends onto your stick or dowel rod or whatever you might be using. If you want to get that sleek brushed out look with your tassels, go ahead and get your comb or pet brush and start smoothing them out. I like to first loosen the ends with a comb and then I detail with the pet brush. This step can take some time, so be patient and work in small sections. Once they're adequately brushed out, you can trim up each tassel to your preference. My piece ended up having 19 tassels in total, varying from about 5 inches in length to 13 to maybe 14 inches at the longest point. I love these autumn-inspired colors. It's already giving me such cozy vibes. Of course, this concept works for literally any combination of colors, so I can't wait to see what creations you guys come up with. Well, thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I'm so glad that you're here. If you decide to recreate something inspired by this tutorial, I hope that you will tag Moss and Mirth on any social media platform, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!